Welcome to The Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey.
Childbirth is power in its purest and most natural form. It is wild and uncontrollable and takes us on a journey of surrender. Birth is about so much more than babies being born. It is about a mother finding her inner strength at her most vulnerable and powerful moment, which begins her unique and lifelong journey of mothering that child. Brianna Z, midwife. Hi there, this is Maria.
And this is Sheila.
And we want to welcome you to
The Moms I
Know. Today, we are so fortunate to be interviewing a local doula. We want to welcome doula Ana Hernandez to our podcast today. So Ana, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So that quote is so powerful. And I think that nothing can quite prepare us for motherhood than actually going through that. And, we can read every book, we can talk to every person that's had them, and then we go through that. And it is so very powerful. I know that you have so much experience helping mothers bring their children into the world. And Sheila, I know you have so much expertise around this whole concept of what a mother needs as she's pregnant and as she brings a child into the world. So I'm very excited to really kind of turn this podcast over to Sheila and Ana to talk about the importance of a doula.
So I want to know, how did you get into doula work?
Okay, way back after my second child was born in the 80s, I had it was a beautiful experience actually, and I was supported by midwives and nurses, and I didn't know who was who, but I was able to have a most beautiful birth, very undisturbed, even though it was a hospital birth. And after I had that experience of my second child, I said, every mother needs this kind of support when she's having a baby. This is what a beautiful birth is about. My first birth was nothing of that way. I mean, it was complete opposite. And it took me several years between having my first and the second actually to go through and to heal from the first experience. It was that traumatic for me and my son. So then I really wanted to become a midwife, right? And I ended up becoming a school teacher, elementary educator for just about 20 years. And just a few years ago, I went, I can do something else now. My kids are grown. I do not need to be in the classroom anymore. And so I heard about doulas. I actually did not know anything about doulas. I heard about them, and I interviewed some of the parents in my classroom just to find out, who had doulas, and that got me started. And actually one of the parents was a doula. And so I interviewed her about her job and what she liked about it. And the minute I found out about being a doula, I said, that's it. And my first client back in 2015, I was there at her house, the first time, and it was just so natural, just being there, talking with the mom and her partner, and I went, I can do this. I'm so qualified, having been a mom and having been a caretaker of my own kids. So I jumped into the doula world and the birth world, and I just love what I do.
That's awesome. Well, it shows for sure. I had the privilege of having a doula at my first birth. I had a hospital birth, the first one, and the doula, I believe, totally changed the whole experience, and it was fabulous having that. And then my second two births, I actually had at home. And also had a doula at home. Even, you can still have a doula at home. So I kind of went right into why you're a doula, but I think there might be even some listeners who do not know what a doula is. So can you explain what the role of a doula is? And then as well as there are different types of doulas.
Okay, yeah. So the different types of doulas are, there's birth doulas and there's postpartum doulas, and we'll get to that. I am both. I'm both a doula, a birth doula, and a postpartum doula. In general, all doulas, we provide continuous support to the birthing person and her partner and whoever is there as the birth team. We provide physical support, emotional support, informational support. We're not care providers, and we're not responsible for medical support. And that's where a midwife would come in, or an obstetrician, or a family practitioner. But we're there to really make sure the well-being of the woman, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, she's prepared for the birth. Then we give, and we see her prenatally. We do prenatal appointments. It's a very holistic kind of support service that we give our clients. We're there as continuous support during the labor. We don't go away. Our shift doesn't, 12 hours goes by and we're still there. Sometimes it's a 36-hour birth, where even the midwives, and during a home birth, they come and go, they check in and they go home to sleep, but we're basically there at somebody's home with them until after the baby comes. So it's continuous support during labor, and we're providing comfort measures, and we're really there basically to help support the partner, to support the mother. We don't replace a partner. Yeah.
And that's a question I get a lot of times of people saying, "Oh, well, how do I talk my husband into it?" Because I think it's often the mom wants the doula, has heard about it from her friends, but how do I'm going to get my husband to spend money that's not going to be covered by insurance, right?
Right.
And so you really have to sell it. And
right.
I mean, I'm hearing it, and it's just there's such a difference when you have the support of a doula. And I had a doula during birth, but I did not have one postpartum. But I think that's really the period when a lot of mothers need it.
Oh, yes. I have come to look at birth being a doorway. Mm-hmm. And it's so important to be able to walk through that doorway and to be prepared and go into it, not with fear, but with joy, with confidence, feeling prepared, feeling that you have support to let go and you can just be with your baby and move with your baby and birth this baby with your partner. So we really hold that space, to help that happen. And then walking through that doorway, then you come to the other side, which is postpartum, right. A whole new life, and I tell my clients, your life is turned upside down and you're on your head, for quite a while, Then there's the postpartum doulas. So we also, as postpartum doulas, we provide, again, continuous support. It's emotional support, physical support, mental support, psychological support, anything that's needed to help the mother do her job. And her full-time job really is resting, bonding, and feeding her baby. And it sounds like, oh yeah, I can do that. No problem. My husband's going to be here. He's off for a while. My partner's going to be here. She's going to take care of me. That's where you really need a village. That's where you really need a team of support during the postpartum. One person cannot do it.
Well, when we look at traditional cultures, we see that support in place. And I know someplace on your website, you have an Ayurvedic tradition, was it? Or in a tradition that it's like 42 days that mother should stay at home, or 60 days. I know there's various places that mother should not leave the bed.
Yes.
For
yes.
that. And
it's in the Ayurvedic system in India, their system of medicine, 40 days is like a sacred window of time, or 42 days, and it really translates into 42 years of health. So if a mother is really being taken care of physiologically during those first 42 days, it's going to follow her through for 42 years. And any kinds of illness or things that she has had, complications prior to pregnancy, a lot of those can be healed during those first 42 days. That's why it's a sacred window. It's a magical window of time of really being taken care of. Worldwide, actually, in the cultures that still take care of the mother, in the postpartum, it can vary between 90 days at home, for the whole trimester, the fourth trimester, or it could be 21 days or 40 days.
Yeah, it's where here I'm seeing new mothers the next weekend showing their baby on Instagram at a picnic. And I'm not innocent here because I remember like 3 days postpartum, I was at Target with I'm like, what the heck was I doing? Right. I made sure after the birth of my third that I was in bed for 2 weeks. Yeah. But, sometimes you're just like, I gotta go. And so that postpartum doula would say, no, stay in bed.
We totally do not understand postpartum in our modern day culture. I mean, the hardest thing for my clients is resting. Mm-hmm. They think they have it, but a lot of them, if they do not have good support, 2 weeks out, they hit a wall and they're scrambling. They're like, oh my God, we need somebody. We need a doula. We need somebody to come, and we're falling apart here. Because we're designed to be in bed, and resting at least 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed, 5 days around the bed.
Oh,
minimal, horizontal. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, the partner also needs to be resting and bonding and helping the mom feed the baby, right? And so they need somebody to be cooking fresh foods, making, warm, nutritious meals. If laundry's needed, doing a load of clothes, sweeping the floor, make sure the dog is going out. Just anything and everything that's needed in the household, sibling care, so that the mom can rest and bond and feed her baby. And I love in this book called Mothering from Your Center by Tammy Lynn Kent, she defines rest, R-E-S-T, as reduce energy, slow time.
Nice.
It's the hardest thing in this modern day to do that and actually get that.
Yeah, it's so important. I think my grandmother, when I was pregnant, she said that when she had her children, the women around her didn't let her feet touch the floor for 40 days. And, that sounded so old fashioned,
Yeah.
I could just hop back into things. But I really value that so much now and wish that I had taken things a little bit slower. I also wanted to you're talking about postpartum and, 2 weeks when they hit the wall, we're seeing really huge numbers of postpartum depression, postpartum issues. And I think that that's something that I'd love for you to talk about, the role of a doula in helping to facilitate the transition without there being those types of issues.
Right. And unfortunately, when mom is feeling out of sorts and there's anxiety, all of that's going into her breast milk. Baby receives that. The family unit receives that. And we've been surviving as a culture, and now we're on a brink in our modern day culture in this country, in the Western, world. We really need to transition into thriving, and that really means taking care of the mom, taking care of and nurturing that new mother. Whether it's her third baby or her first, she's a new mother each time. And she has physiologic needs, just like the baby has physiologic needs. Baby needs to be warmth. Baby needs the heartbeat. Baby needs to be on the skin. Baby needs to be, coddled, like making that womb on the outside for that baby. Those are the baby's vital needs. And the baby also needs mom to have a really good, nutritious, good fats in the diet kind of diet, and very easily to digest foods.
Well, just when the issues can arise when mom is not getting that type of a support. So how much of it is physiological? How much of it is emotional?
Yeah.
How does the nutrition play into that as well?
Well, what we're finding, I've taken an amazing certification program from Rochelle Garcia Selega called Innate Traditions. And that is all designed to follow the physiologic design of the newborn mom. We know what physiologic birth means now, where we're really letting the birth unfold, letting the hormones do their thing, and really trying to not intervene and speed up the process, or, really let the process unfold on its own, right? And the placenta come out on its own. That's a physiologic birth. Well, now we really need to understand physiologic postpartum care. And what Rochelle did is all around the world, she did her research, she talked to her elders. She found that in all the traditions, the postpartum traditions that take care of moms, they have 4 precepts. And it's specialized warming foods, warming in nature, warming in temperature, body work, touch, massage, an extended rest period, and warming therapies. Nice. Keeping that mom warm. And if all of that is in place and mom is being taken care of physiologically, that affects her emotions, that affects her emotional well-being. She's feeling nurtured, she's feeling community, she's feeling being taken care of. She can really be in that relaxed state. And her adrenals are not still on overdrive. They're also relaxed. So that affects her endocrine system, her nervous system. So that's why we really need to take care of a mom physiologically. And it'll affect all of that.
Oh, I love it. I wish that I had had that kind of care. I was very fortunate to have some lovely caregivers, but not this kind of care.
We all need that.
Oh,
right.
Beautiful.
You know, it's like I feel like doulas, midwives can change the world.
I do
you
too.
know, I mean, if we didn't speak through pregnancy, you know, we have all the markers of like your baby should be doing this. You know, there's so many things that you should be doing to keep up. You know, and I really believe the doula is like everything will unfold as it should. You will walk through that doorway when it, you know, when your baby wants to come out. And then the same thing with the postpartum. And I did it, you know, like I know after the birth of my second, I was like, I had to hurry up and get back to it. I had a 1-year-old.
Right.
And so it's just, I mean, if we can somehow, you know, just keep, I mean, that's why we're having you on here, is because we really believe in the importance of doula care and the importance of supporting mom, because one of my teachers told me that you were actually postpartum 7 years after you give birth. You know, it's not just 4 weeks, 6 months, actually 7 years, you know, and when I heard that, I was like, no wonder why I'm still feeling a little bit run down, because you know, you have the sleepless nights and then you have the worries and everything like that. But that sounds, I mean, moms need support.
Right. And really, after a birth, I mean, it's everything is swirling in a way. The energy, we're a different being physically and emotionally and psychologically, and it takes time to synergize and all the newness to come together. And to do that, she needs to be resting, and she needs to be taken care of. She needs to be honored and nurtured, and so that she can come into who she is again. And she's never going to go back to who she was. You know, it's like it's a completely new normal. But to find that new normal takes time.
For me, it came up to receive. I think it's so hard for women, moms, to receive the help. So I know when you have the meal trains down, or people's like, oh, I want to clean your house. You're like, oh, I'm afraid. For me, I was like, oh, I don't want people doing my laundry, or I don't want people to do that. But after my third, I had a health crisis where I had to receive help. And it was a lesson for me in receiving, which I think doulas are so great at giving.
And that's another one thing I want to stress is, besides the rest in the postpartum, is this is your time really to ask for what you need, find out, you know, go within. What do I really need? You know, do I really need to go out to eat with my friend who's inviting me out, or my sister? No, I really need to take a nap. I need the rest. So really go internally. What do I really need? And ask for it. Receive, because there'll be plenty of time when you can give to other people. This is a precious time, and it's really about self-care. And it's time for women to really have a daily self-care and prioritize that. You know, because if we're not taking care of ourselves, and if we're really not taking care of our needs, we're still in the survival mode. We're still in the same old, what's going on. And we really need to turn things around. And that's by really, you know, mothering ourselves and doing that self-care and being taken care of, you know. And that is really a strength, to be able to ask and receive. And get strong.
Definitely. You know, we've talked about self-care on the podcast before, and it's still ongoing, because when you realize that you're snapping at your children or you're snapping at your colleagues, it's because your needs are not being met.
It's the same with children, you know, that we have to look at how do we meet all of our needs as human beings.
And a good place to start that is in the postpartum. And you know, allowing ourselves to feel what we're feeling, and then asking for what we need, really. And we're not used to doing that. But we need to break out, you know, we really need to do that to shift things in our culture.
Right.
And to really have powerful and thriving families.
We talk about that a lot. We talk about from, you know, surviving to thriving.
Right.
And you actually said that at the beginning as well, and I love that. And, you know, for those of us that have already had our children, that, you know, we didn't get everything we needed, or we're maybe going to have a couple of more children, and now we can think about, oh my goodness, this, you know, having a doula is going to make a huge difference, and really taking that time that we need is going to make such a difference for us. But also for me now as a grandmother, I was able to be there for my daughter, and she did not have a doula, but luckily I read some books before I went. And so I stepped into that role. And I was so glad that I was able to be there for them and do everything and not just be there for the baby, but to be there for my daughter and her husband, to have that special time. I really appreciated reading some wise doula's words before I went, and to know what my role was.
And I just want to ask, what is your best book recommendation for the new mom, for, impending motherhood through pregnancy? Or what's your top book?
Well, I'm really focused on the postpartum because I think that makes such a difference. And to read that during pregnancy, well, first, let's see, The First 40 Days, which is a wonderful book of recipes and more, just really helps us to understand about postpartum. The other is The Fourth Trimester by Kimberly Ann Johnson. Just amazing, listening to all that she brings in about medically, physically, emotionally, what happens during the postpartum. So it's very much an eye opener. So those at the top of my head.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Nice. So this is just such wonderful information. And so for those of you that are planning on having children, having more children, or know other people that are thinking about starting a family, this is all such important information to be taking into consideration. And then for those of us that are beyond that, I love this concept of self-care. So this whole idea of taking care of ourselves in this precious time, and now we can take that into wherever we're at on our parenting journey, is to take care of ourselves as women and as mothers.
Right. And it's not a luxury. It's really a necessity to get the support postpartum and for birth, and then to continue it and give other people support.
Thank you for what you do.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you so much. And thank you for being here with us today. This is so fun. This is our first interview in our podcast series, and what a wonderful way to get the interviews started. So we will look forward to bringing you more in the days and weeks to come. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, and we will see you next time on The Moms I Know.
Thanks for joining us today for The Moms I Know. To learn more about Sheila and her online program, The Mom Map, visit purplebeetnutrition.com. For Maria's monthly blog and to learn more about her group programs and retreats, visit soquelessentials.com. That's SOQUEL essentials.com. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Moms I Know. Until next week, have a joyful family journey.